What's up, everybody? Welcome to DFS by the numbers. These are my Draftkings MMA picks for UFC Vegas 21. We have Leon Edwards versus Belal Muhammad in what is a very underrated card. I think this card's fantastic, actually. I think there's a bunch of great fights on this card, so really looking forward to it. And I also think this card's great for DraftKings as well. I mean, there's going to be some fights to definitely target. We'll talk about them in a little bit. But overall, just really looking forward to this card as a whole. So coming off of a very good week last week, was so close to the optimal lineup. Needed Amanda Lemos instead of Islam Makhachev. But everything else is pretty much on point. Destroyed in cash. Destroyed in single. Fading Adesanya and, going with Blachowicz instead was huge. I mean, Blachowicz ended up scoring like 115. So that was big there. Overall, pretty successful night. Hopefully you guys did good as well. And I did do that DraftKings contest. I do want to shout out for Emma Joe. He had Blachowicz, Nunez, Jan, Cruz, Elliott, and Lemos for first place, scoring 610. I finished like 21st in my own contest, so almost there, but not quite. Shout out to 4 Emma Joe. Comment down your PayPal or Cash App, and I'll get you your winnings there. And I'll be doing more contest for the next card, for the next pay-per-view card, which I think is Stipe and Ngannou. So that we have that to look forward to, but with all that out of the way, before we get into the video, if you can leave a like, subscribe if you have not yet, always very, very appreciated. One small like goes a long way, it really does. And then tune into the live stream that's going to be Friday, 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. Lots of great information on there and love chatting it up with you guys. So with that said, let's get into it, starting with the fight to target. Fight doesn't go to decision lines here. We have Cirkunov Span minus 425. Fight doesn't go to decision. And I not only think that this fight doesn't go to the scorecards, I think that this fight probably doesn't see the second round. I mean, Cirkunov has not been to that second round in like 6 or 7 fights, and I do see this fight ending early, and I do see it being one of those fights where it goes one of two ways. Either Cirkunov is able to get the takedown early and finish Span on the mat shortly after, or Span's able to clip him on his way in, or just landing a hard shot on Cirkunov, whose chin is not the best. But either way, I see this fight scoring well. I see it ending probably in the first round, and it is a fight that's going to be in the majority of my lineups, especially with the price tags of Cirkunov 8,300, Span 7,900. It's extremely hard not to see this fight being in the optimal lineup. So I might just lock it in, maybe do like a 55-45 in favor of Cirkunov, or like a 60-40 in favor of Cirkunov. And I do like Cirkunov in this fight, and I'll kind of talk about why in a little bit. But I do know I want both sides, and I want a ton of it. Next, we have Ronnie Yaya versus Ray Rodriguez. Yeah, interesting fight here. I do like Ronnie Yaya to get it done. It's just if it does not get it done early, I really have concerns about, he's getting up there in age, 36 years old. I'm kind of concerned about the gas tank as well. And I'll talk about it a little bit more, but I think Ray Rodriguez is probably getting subbed in this fight, probably getting subbed early. So I'm more so on the Ronnie Yaya side. 9,200 is not bad, because I do think if he wins, it's going to be a first-round sub. But on the flip side, Ray Rodriguez at 7,000 is really not the worst play in the world. And I ultimately do see this fight finishing, whether it is a Yaya early finish or maybe a Rodriguez late finish as well. So definitely a fight I want both sides of, but I'm more so leaning towards the Ronnie Yaya side at 9,200. Charles Jourdain versus Marcelo Rojo. And yeah, the pricing here, Jourdain 9,100, Rojo 7,100. Jourdain has that 100% finish rate I like. Rojo has an 88% finish rate. So it's safe to say both these guys are finishers. Rojo has been submitted 4 times, never been knocked out. Jourdain never been knocked out. But I do think that could change here, because both guys are just going to stand in the middle and bang until one man falls. I mean, this fight is going to be one of the more exciting fights on the card. And I do think Jourdain wins it, but I'm not overly confident. And I think Rojo, is a decent pump play at 7,100. So definitely a fight you're going to want to target. Definitely a fight that I think finishes. So I'm going to be playing both sides there. Probably with a slight lean on Jourdain, but $2,000 price difference there in those. So I think Rojo's not a bad option down low. Next, we have Nasrat Haqparast versus Rafa Garcia. And we do not have prices on this as of yet. I didn't want to keep waiting. I want to get this video out early. So I'm just projecting Haqparast to be around 9,200, projecting Rafa Garcia to be around like 7,000. So, and I do like Haqparast in this fight. I think it's a prime spot for him to probably get a knockout. Garcia leaves a lot of openings. He's going to be coming forward. I really question his striking defense. I kind of question his cardio, especially coming in on short notice. And yes, Garcia is undefeated, but it's going to be a massive step up in competition here against Haqparast, who has shown good takedown defense and good power. And I think if there's a finish on either side, it's probably Haqparast getting it done. So definitely looking at the Haqparast side, but we do not have salary yet. If I had to project it, I'd say like 9,200, maybe 9,300. So he's like minus 360 on the money line there. All right, so getting into the core plays here, and starting with Leon Edwards, it's 9,000. And yeah, it's a hard one here because I think that, I really question the ceiling of Leon Edwards. He's somebody that's, kind of low output, but you're getting 5 rounds to work with. I don't think 9,000 price tags, the worst in the world. I don't know if he's going to go out there and get many takedowns or control time. I can see him mixing in maybe in some takedowns, but ultimately he probably does keep this on the feet. And, 5 rounds to work with. I do think that Muhammad's going to bring a pace. It's going to kind of, force Edwards to throw more. So, you get the 5 rounds, nice floor there. This is more of a cash play for me. I don't know how much, Edwards I'm going to have in my tournament lineups yet, my 150 max. I will have some because you do get 5 rounds. Should be some decent volume. It should be a kind of a fast-paced fight, especially factoring the small cage as well. Maybe Edwards can, clinch a little bit, get some control time, maybe even take down Muhammad. I wouldn't be shocked if he did that. But yeah, I like Edwards here to get the win. I think he's safe. But yeah, more of a cash play for me. I'm definitely locking him in cash. If you're wondering about the stack, I think the stack is fine. I think this probably does go 5 rounds. But if there is a finish, I do think it's going to be Edwards getting the finish. Muhammad has been knocked out before. Muhammad has been dropped 6 times in the UFC. So definitely possible. But I do lean Edwards here. But more so from a cash standpoint, really. Next, we have Ronnie Yahya, 9,200. This is complete opposite of cash. I would not play Ronnie Yahya in cash, but I think he is a fantastic tournament play. I mean, this is a guy that if he does not get that first round sub, I really have concerns going forward in the fight. Whether it's his cardio, it's his age. I mean, I really have concerns if he does not get that first round finish that he's going to definitely slow down and maybe even lose the fight here. So I think it's a great tournament play because if he does win, it's probably a first round sub. It probably means that he did get down Ray Rodriguez and finished him early, which I do think is very possible because going back and watching the tape on Rodriguez, I mean, the dude was taken down in like every single fight I watched. And what did it for me and why I like Ronnie Yahya so much in this fight is Ray Rodriguez was getting dominated by Chris Gutierrez, the striker. Chris Gutierrez was taking him down time after time, controlling him, and he ultimately submitted Ray Rodriguez. I mean, Chris Gutierrez submitted Ray Rodriguez. So if Chris Gutierrez can, the striker, I think that Ronnie Yahya can. And I know he's getting up there in age, but I do expect him to get it done early. But there are those concerns if he does not get it done early. I do think that there's going to be some serious problems going forward, into the fight, as his gas tank is not that great, and he has been getting up there in age. So kind of tread lightly on this one. Kind of a both sides thing for me, but it's just so hard to ignore the upside. I mean, he's like minus 120 to win inside the distance, which is the best on the slate. So it's hard to ignore the upside, but I'd probably stay away from this one in cash. Speaking of staying away from it in cash, I mean, this is a fight you are not going to want in your cash lineups, but I'm going to be putting this in all of my tournament lineups. Not Misha Cirkunov in all of my lineups, but this fight in general in all of my lineups. I'm playing both sides here. I like Cirkunov in this fight. 8,300 is not bad. It's just the guy's so strong. His takedowns are actually not bad. Wrestling's pretty good. And Span has a 60% takedown defense. And, not many people have tried to take down Span. When people take down Span, it's, very easy to do so. I mean, I really question his takedown defense. And once Cirkunov gets on top of you, you're going to be in some serious trouble. But on the flip side, he's kind of on the chinny side by a decent margin. Span has some power. So, yes, Span could absolutely clip him and knock him out. But I just think that Cirkunov's going to come out here like he did in his last fight against Jimmy Crute. Go for that takedown in like the first 20 seconds. That's what you need to do. Don't mess around on the feet with Span. You'll probably get knocked out, but take him down, submit him. I think that Cirkunov's a very, very high upside play because I do not see this fight going to the scorecards, and I really don't see this fight going to the second round. So give me Cirkunov here. If I had to split it up, it's probably like a 60-40 in favor of Cirkunov, maybe like a 55-45 in favor of Cirkunov. But ultimately, this fight's going to be in 100% of my lineups more than likely. Next, kind of iffy on this one, but Gloria de Paula going against Jinyu Fry. This is more of a fade on the Fry side. I mean, Fry's somebody that has landed 26 significant strikes in both of her fights against Kay Hansen and Luma Lukmumi. And she's just 35 years old. She's getting up there in age. She's an atom weight fighting at the 115-pound weight class. De Paula's going to be the much bigger fighter. I think she can, do the more damage, just throw more strikes in general. And then I wouldn't be shocked if, she finished Fry as well. Fry has been knocked out before. Fry's been submitted before. So I like de Paula here, and I do think she's going to be extremely low owned. Nobody knows who this is. She's a little bit on the expensive side. So for that reason, I do think she has some decent upside. I think she has a lot of volume, decent ground game as well. Training at a very good camp as well with Mara Buena Silva, who we just saw fight. She looked fantastic. I believe they're dating as well, which is a great sign there. But yeah, give me a de Paula here as kind of a core play. I think she's safe. Kind of question the ceiling because maybe Frey can make this like a boring fight, but De Paula's a beast. I know she's 5-2, but she is getting better and better. Only 25 years old, so we're going to see massive improvements fight by fight. And we haven't seen her fight in a couple months, so I do think she's going to be coming with some improvements, training at a good camp. And Jinyu Fry's on her way down and just declining, and she's been looking awful. She's been looking awful in her 2 UFC fights. Have been fading her and going to keep fading her until she is finally no longer on the roster, which this could be her last fight, which is a shame. I mean, she has had success earlier in her career, but I mean, she's 35 years old, and she just doesn't bring it. I mean, she's landed 52 total strikes in 5.5 rounds so far in the UFC. So give me De Paula just by doing more and possibly finding a finish. All right, next our GPP plays, our tournament plays here. Charles Jourdain is the definition of a tournament play because this guy has a 100% finish rate. Like I said, this fight is going to be a fight where they stand in the middle and bang until one man falls. And what I think is going to be an interesting aspect of this fight is Jourdain is a brown belt in BJJ. Rojo has been submitted 4 times. He does give up some bad positions on the mat, does leave a lot of openings to be subbed. And I wouldn't be completely shocked if Jourdain hasn't done this in his career yet. He has no takedowns. But maybe he does get this fight down to the mat. Maybe he does work that brown belt of his, and maybe he can submit Rojo, or even just clip him on the feet and submit Rojo on the mat there. But yeah, this is going to be a fun fight. You are going to want both sides. $2,000 price difference on Draftkings here. I think the fight could be a little bit closer than that, but I'm going to go Jourdain. I think he's the more experienced fighter, has fought the better competition. Massive step up in competition for Marcelo Rojo, but kind of some red flags in that last Jourdain fight against Josh Culibao. Kind of took his opponent lightly. He was a massive favorite, got hurt bad by Culibao. Rojo's a dangerous guy. Rojo's a very dangerous guy, so I would not be shocked in the slightest if Rojo pulled this off. I'm going to slightly go with Jourdain, and if Jourdain wins, it's more than likely inside the distance. The dude's never won a decision, so I think Jourdain's a fantastic tournament play up top, but it will have some Rojo as well. Matthew Semmelsberger, 8,400. Yeah, very interesting here. First fight of the night, and you guys know me. You guys know that I love targeting the first fight of the night. I believe that the first fight of the night last week was on the optimal lineup. Not really sure. Don't remember. But ultimately, it ends up on the optimal lineup more times than not, and ultimately, it's very, very low owned. So I do think that this is another case where, yeah, I mean, if Semmelsberger wins, it's going to be by knockout. Witt has one of the more questionable chins I've ever seen. The dude's been knocked out 3 times. He's been finished in all 6 of his losses. And the thing with this fight is, and why I want to target it quite a bit, is neither guy has lost by decision. When guys are losing in this fight, whether it's Semmelsberger or Witt, they're getting finished. And I do think that Semmelsberger has a huge path to victory of knocking out Witt. I mean, if Semmelsberger wins, it's going to be by knockout. So for that reason, 8,400. It's very possible if Witt does not come in here with the game plan of getting it down to the mat, and if Witt does choose to strike with Semmelsberger, Witt probably is getting knocked out because the guy does not have a chin whatsoever. He's getting up there in age, 34 years old, but I'm personally more on the Witt side, but I definitely see merit for playing Semmelsberger at 8,400 because if he wins, it's by knockout. Next, we have Manel Kape versus going against Mateus Nicolau, who is 7,500, and Kape is 8,700. So yeah, kind of a tough play here. I do think this fight has a good chance of finishing. I want to say it's minus 135. Fight doesn't go to decision, which is not bad. And the thing with Mateus Nicolau is when he loses, it's by knockout. I want to say he's been knocked out 2 times. Yeah, he's been knocked out 2 times in his career. Mateus Nicolau has never lost by submission, never lost by decision. And if Kape wins, he's a finisher. 93% finish rate from Kape. The problem is in his UFC debut against Pantoja, the dude looked awful. I mean, the dude did not throw anything whatsoever. I do expect him to bounce back, look a little bit better, but just not a great sign. So I'm kind of, nervous if this fight does get into the second round, get into the third round. If Kape's not throwing anything, I mean, he's not going to score well. But the thing with Nicolau is, his chin's not all that there. I've seen him rocked in multiple fights. Obviously, seen him knocked out twice in both of his losses. So, the path to victory is on the table for Kape to have a very good night on DraftKings scoring. But hopefully he comes in here just, doing something. I mean, last fight was just awful. So I do expect him to bounce back. I wouldn't be shocked if he knocked out Mateus Nicolau. And if he does win, it's probably by knockout. But do have some question marks there, especially with the $8,700 price tag. Next, we have Nasrat Haqparast going against Rafa Garcia. And I put a question mark here next to 9,200 because we do not have the salaries, but I did want to get the video out early. So I'm going to say he's going to be around 9,200, maybe 9,300. So around that area, and basically I like Haqparast here. I think he's the much better fighter. the much bigger fighter. He's going to have a 4-inch reach advantage, a 3-inch height advantage, and Garcia just looks so small in there. And I mean, I wouldn't be shocked if he was even smaller than the 5'7" he's listed at. And Haqparast is going to be, like I said, much bigger. He's going to have a ton of power, lots of knockouts on his record, lots of output as well. And Garcia, comes in there, tries to get takedowns. I don't think the takedowns are going to be there in this fight. And, Haqparast, 75% knockout rate, which is pretty good. And Garcia's obviously never been knocked out. The guy's undefeated, but he does leave a ton of openings, kind of hittable, and does slow down in some fights. And especially coming in on short notice, I do expect him to slow down here, especially with the pace he brings. And in that pace that he brings, he just leaves so many openings to get hit. And I do think Haqparast hits him hard, and I do think he knocks him out. Whether it is in the first round or second round, I don't know, but I do know that I will want some shares of Haqparast on DraftKings. As far as Garcia, probably not going to get there that much. Maybe a little bit, but I do expect him to be around like the 7,000 range around there. But I do like Haqparast quite a bit. All right, next we have the live dogs. And Ryan Spann, don't want to get into it too much, but basically, like I said, play both sides here. Two things are going to happen. Spann knockout, Cirkunov sub. 50-50. So I do think Spann at $7,100 is not a bad play at all, because if he does win, it's probably by knockout. Cirkunov's been knocked out quite a few times. I want to say he's been knocked out 3 times. Yeah, he's been knocked out 3 times, been submitted 2 times. Cirkunov has never lost by decision, so it's safe to say if Spann wins, it's probably by some type of finish, which is very possible. It's very likely, because Cirkunov does have no chin, it seems like. But I'm more so on the Cirkunov side, but I can definitely see the reason for playing Spann and playing a lot of them, and I will have a lot of them. Just a little bit more Cirkunov for me. Jason Witt, 7,800. Yeah, this was awesome. I mean, last time against Cole Williams, everybody was counting out Witt. I mean, I don't know what it is. The people hate on this guy. The people don't like this guy. Maybe it is because of that chin, and yes, he has been hurt in every single fight, but last fight against Cole Williams, he had a path to victory, and that was getting the takedowns, and he went out there, put up a massive score at low ownership, and I do expect him to be extremely low owned here, because I see a lot of people disrespecting the Jason Witt side, and it's just, he has such a clear path to victory. I mean, watching tape on Semmelsberger, the dude's getting taken down easily, by guys that are, very, very low level. I mean, this is somebody in Semmelsberger who lost to an 0-0 guy just like 2 years ago. So I think Witt's the more experienced guy. The path to victory is there. Training with, James Krause at Gloria MMA and Fitness. Great camp. We saw Tim Elliott come in here with, last week with a really good game plan of getting takedowns, fighting smart. I do expect Witt to do the same. If Witt wants to test his stand-up against Semmelsberger, he's going to get knocked out. We know that. But if he comes in here and tries to get takedowns, the ceiling is very high for someone in Witt, especially with the new DraftKings scoring system, and I do expect him to be semi-low owned. But yeah, this is a fight I want to target for sure. First fight of the night, I do think it scores really well. And then Mateus Nicolau, yeah, if he wins, 7,500, I think the price tag's a little bit off. I think it should be lying closer to that 8,000, 8,200 range, maybe 8,300 for Kopp there. But, he could win this fight. He can very well win this fight. I mean, he has some power himself. The problem is that chin, but he's going to be throwing more output than Kopp. I'm curious to see what happens if he does take down Kopp, because Mateus Nicolau's ground game is very legit, and I have seen Kopp, taken down. I've seen him controlled. Even seen Kopp submitted before, so the path to victories are there for Nicolau, whether it is a volume-based decision, whether it is mixing in those takedowns. And like I said, this dude's ground game is legit. He can hit hard himself. So kind of closer fight than I think the line indicates, or the salaries indicate. So for that reason, 7,500, I don't hate it for Nicolau there. And then Gavin Tucker. Yeah, I kind of like this play a lot. I mean, you're getting a $1,000 savings here from Dan Ige, who is 8,600, and Gavin Tucker 7,600. So a nice discount there. And it's just like, if Gavin Tucker wins, it's going to be based off of a ton of volume. It's going to be based off of him wrestling, getting takedowns. We have seen Ige taken down more than once, quite a few times actually. And we have seen Ige, stuck on his back at times. And Gavin Tucker showed in his last fight. And I know it's against Billy Quarantillo and, guys like Justin James, but, this is the best Gavin Tucker we've ever been seeing ever. I mean, he's 34 years old. He's right in his prime, and his wrestling looked fantastic in his last fight. His striking looked fantastic. And yes, Ige is a whole other animal than the guys he's been fighting, but this just seems like a really close fight to me. I think it's extremely close on the feet. I think Ige is the more dangerous fighter. I think if there's a finish, it's going to be from the Ige side, but, the volume probably goes to Tucker. The wrestling in the ground game, I mean, I think you can lean Tucker. I think Tucker can get on top and, do some damage here, or at least, hold Ige down. I don't think he's going to submit him or nothing, but I do think he can rack up control time and takedowns here. And at 7,600, in a fight that I feel like should be lined like 8,200, 8,000, maybe in favor of Ige, but I think we're getting a lot of value here with Tucker. I think his path to victory scores very well on DraftKings, and we'll be having a decent amount of Tucker on DraftKings at 7,600. I think it's a really winnable matchup for him, actually. All right, other guys looking at for live dogs, I guess, was like Eric Anders. Other than that, That's probably about it. But Eric Anders does have a path to victory, but hard to trust that guy. Very low volume as well. Getting into our pump plays, talked about him a little bit, but Ray Rodriguez. So if Ray Rodriguez wins, it probably means he stuffed the takedowns, or he was able to not get submitted in the first round. Yaya gasses out, and it kind of gives me the Rodolfo Vieira vibes a little bit here. If it's not going to be as bad, but if Yaya does not get that first round submission, he is going to indeed slow down. Rodriguez will be able to stuff the takedowns easier and easier as the fight goes on, and he very well could get a late finish just by having the better cardio, being the younger fighter. But, that's a big if, getting through that first round of Yaya. So I think Ray Rodriguez is not a bad pump play at all. I think if he wins, he probably scores decent enough to end up on the optimal lineup. Maybe gets a late finish. But Yaya has a chin. He really does. He's been knocked out, I think, like one time, which is pretty good there. But Yaya is getting up there in age, 36 years old. I do have concerns about the cardio. So, Ray Rodriguez is not a bad pump play at 7,000. Marcelo Rojo, 7,100. You're getting a $2,000 savings off of Charles Jourdain in a fight that I think somewhat close. I mean, I think someone's getting finished here. I mean, it's just, who falls first. I mean, both these guys are going to stand in the middle and bang, and you're giving me 7,100 on Rojo here. I'm going to definitely have some fair shares of them. I do like Jourdain to win, but, $2,000 off. This is a pump play that can definitely hit hard and, can definitely finish fights, 88% finish rate. Someone's going to sleep here, so I don't hate that Rojo play at 7,100. Probably going to be very low owned as well. And then getting into the fades, not much to say here. Darren Stewart, I think this is going to be a semi-boring fight. I think this has potential to be probably the most boring fight on the slate, just due to the fact that both guys do not throw much. I don't see, I don't see Anders really taking down Stewart. I think he should, I really do, but we haven't seen Anders go for many takedowns as of late. I don't think he has the cardio to do so. I do think Darren Stewart's the better fighter. Just by throwing more volume is going to be enough to win this fight. I don't really see Stewart taking down Anders. I think it's possible, but it's probably, stays on the feet for 15 minutes. Probably not much output at all. Stewart probably wins a decision, and it probably scores very, very low. So don't really like either side here. From a DraftKings standpoint, if anything, I'd probably take a shot on Anders because of the price, but both guys are very durable, never been finished, and I do expect it to go to decision here. And then Angela Hill, 9,400. No, thank you. Goodness. I mean, there's so many other great plays. I don't see Hill going for takedowns. I don't see Hill getting control time. I don't see Hill getting a finish, and those are all three things that you need, especially in this new DraftKings scoring system. I think there's much better plays, so I'm not going to get there to Hill at 9,400. And all right, guys, that's about it. Just want to remind you guys, it's always a great time to become a member of my Patreon. You get to receive my full access to my model with the fighter stats, the targets, projections, lineup percentages, the DraftKings article, access to Discord, all that good stuff. Lots of great stuff on there, really affordable prices. Try to give you guys the best content for the cheapest price possible, and it really does help me out as well. So thank you guys for that. And I'm going to head out of here. If you guys can like the video, subscribe if you have not yet. Would really appreciate that. See you guys Friday, 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time on the live stream. And good luck, and let's win some money for UFC Vegas 21.